I was disappointed that you were not going to be able to make Star Trek. I had heard through the grapevine that the script was coming together, and I'm just curious, have you actually said what your movie was going to be about?
No, I haven't, and I think I'm probably not really allowed to speak too much about it because I think what they're still working on is a version of what I had been working on for the time that I was involved.
So my thing, I'm a huge Star Trek fan, but I actually, and I want to talk honestly about this, I actually think that making a Star Trek movie for 100 or 150 million dollars, I don't actually know if it's going to work anymore. And I say it because there's a finite, like the movies don't tend to perform at these huge numbers at the box office. And I'm wondering, it was the movie you were considering, without spoilers, was it one of those where it was going to cost like 150, $100 million, like a ton of money? Part two of this is because I actually think that the way forward on a Star Trek movie is maybe to make one that's like 30 to 50 million, that's hard sci-fi, aimed right at the fans. And if it gets other people, great.
It's an interesting question. I think in our day and age now, anytime you go to space in a movie, it's expensive. And when you're flying around in the Enterprise, even if you're going to land and be in one place for a long time, it's still pretty expensive. You have a large cast as well, many of whom are really, well known as because they're amazing. And so just bringing that group together again isn't a cheap, event. So I think, yes, the movie that I was planning to make was going to be a large tentpole film, and I think that one of the things that JJ has done so well is that, he'll be the first to admit he didn't grow up being a giant Star Trek fan, even though he's a fan now, but he was a huge Star Wars fan. And so I think in rebooting it with Chris Pine and Zoe and Zach, he brought a little bit of Star Wars to it, which I think helped expand its audience, in terms of the scope and the scale of it and the energy of it. And so I think that, that certainly is the goal, is that to find more and more of an audience for Star Trek. But I am, like you, a huge fan of that. And it was a real shame that I couldn't make the timing work on it.